Hey guys, what's up? It's Melody and the weather is beautiful and this kind of weather is perfect. I haven't used lotion or a hand cream in months now because the weather is just so ideal. When you live in a warm climate, you need so much less things. Makeup, it just doesn't make any sense to wear a lot of makeup. It's all melting off your face anyway. So I'm telling you guys, take advantage of this weather. This is the perfect weather to prove that you barely need anything and you can experiment with minimalism in this weather and it'll be a lot easier because you don't need all those winter clothes. So today we're going to be talking about paper clutter, and this is the video I get requested all the time. Tried filming this video 3 times. It's very hard because there's so much information. The only way to cover it is if you go broadly. The very first thing is inflow. The inflow of paper coming into your house has to be dealt with before you start dealing with all the stuff in your house already, because there's a hair in my eyeball. The inflow has to be dealt with before you deal with the stuff in your house, because if you don't deal with the inflow, what's going to happen? You're just going to have a lot more papers to sort through. So you got to get through the source. And the source of the problem is all of the mail coming in from your kid's school or coming in from the mailbox. You got to get to those right now. Why are all those packages coming in? Why are all those papers coming in? So the mundane paperwork and the advertisements. Those are the primary 2 things that are coming through your house. And what I do with advertisements, I throw them out immediately. Yes, you want to spruce up your house every once in a while. You don't want things to go to stale. You want to create art. You want to paint. You want to change up a few candles here or there. You want to keep things fresh, of course. I need a little bit of variety. So of course you want to keep things fresh. You don't need a magazine to tell you how to keep things fresh. Just change out the knobs to bronze and then change it out to silver. I don't know. There's plenty of ways to keep things fresh, and there's plenty of ideas on Pinterest if you ever run out, but I'm sure your imagination can tide you over. You can imagine something so much better than anything you're going to find online. So why don't you use your imagination, or books or movies? There's so much to get inspiration from to make your house even more interesting. So you don't need the magazines coming in. As soon as those magazines come in, I throw them out. As soon as coupons come in, I throw them out. I would rather spend a little bit more than have to sort through coupons and also give into the manipulation. I buy things off Etsy and I don't use coupons, but you know what? I don't mind spending a little extra because I buy so few things, and it's just a matter of that's my values. What I'm saying is be very deliberate with your coupons. If you're going to keep coupons, curate them ruthlessly. Don't let coupons cause you to buy what you would not originally buy, in the sense that if you wouldn't buy 20 shampoos, why would you do it? Or if you wouldn't buy that brand, why would you do it? I'd much rather buy a shampoo that I really want, a brand that I really want. So you have your ideas, you have your books, you have your friends, you have the outdoors. There's so many other things to fill up your days, travel and things like that. There's so many other things than all the little things that we collect or that we're cleaning around, right? It's a part of the future to value quality and to value meaning instead of just things. So once you've got the inflow down, you've got to organize all the paperwork. So we're going to start off with the mundane pile. The mundane pile is all of the bills and statements and things like that. And it's so hard because you're dealing with psychology when you're dealing with clutter. You're dealing with all the reasons why people collect, right? People collect because they don't want to let someone go, or they tie an ideal to a thing, a beauty or knowledge to a certain item. But when it comes to paperwork, we tie being responsible and being meticulous and being organized to keeping all of that paperwork. So I rarely ever check my statements. I just glance at it really quickly and move it along, because I would rather focus on other things than looking at every penny. That's how my retirement is set up the same way. I don't regularly check up on it because it's just not something that's a priority to me. It doesn't matter that much to me. I do what I'm passionate about. I want to focus on something, building something, on creating something, instead of trying to hold on to a bunch of things. So when you're looking at that paperwork, go through it quickly. There should be very little that you're keeping long term. When it comes to tax information, that's different. You've got to keep all the receipts, and you can scan them in, but you've got to back them up and keep them. So when you back them up, there's different ways to back them up. You can back them up on Google Drive. There's other ways to do that, but I'm just going to tell you Google Drive, because if I start going into the other ways, it's going to be a snore fest, because let's be honest, most of us are not tech people. So let's not go into the different ways with which you can back up your things. If you are that concerned about backups, I guarantee you already know other ways to back up things. So use your Gmail account, create a Google Drive, and upload all of your receipts, your tax receipts to that. You can just show it to the IRS if you ever get audited, but the odds of that happening are very low. So once you get rid of that mundane paperwork, there should be very little left. And if you're keeping paperwork for statements, for bills, you should not be keeping more than a couple of months or a year. I keep none. It's about creating life and not just falling into it. So once you have got rid of the mundane paperwork, then now you've got to get to the sentimental stuff, which is going to be letters, and it's going to be kids' artwork and things like that. And what you got to do about that is you just got to keep the ones that really stand out to you, that you want to display, or that you just, it means everything to you. And there should only be a couple. When you have piles and piles of artwork, you're not appreciating any of them because you're not going to dig through a pile. But if you have a little pile, you'll dig through that way more frequently. And then you want to scan and take pictures of the rest. So how you scan things is you get a little baby scanner like this that's a color scanner, or you get one of the big ones. The big scanners can take a lot of paperwork. If you have as much paperwork as my mom, for instance, you probably want one of the heavy duty ones. You can also send it out to a company. So you want to take pictures of everything, scan everything in, and then pass it along. Pass it along. Your kids are still there with you, and even if they're not there with you, they're there with you in ways that matter way more than anything physical. They're there with you. The very next thing is decor and magazine clippings and things like that. I scan them all in. I pinned a couple of my favorite ones, and then I just check the rest and I back it up to Google Drive. But I don't keep magazine clippings. Keep it reasonable. These binders from Staples are really great, and you can put little pockets in here, or you can just put a hole punch. Now, I don't use a binder anymore because I have so little paper clutter, but if you have a lot of people in your family or a lot of paper clutter, you want to get a binder like this, get a 3-hole puncher, which is very affordable, $10 or something like that, and just keep all of your documents like that. You don't want to get a file cabinet unless you really have a lot of paperwork, which if you're a minimalist, it's just not necessary. You don't want to get a file cabinet for the simple reason is that it's there and it's static. These binders are not static. You can get as many or as few as you want and keep it reasonable. But as your life ebbs and flows, that metal cabinet is going to stay the same size. So you might have a few papers left in there, and now it's going to be taking up all that space. I don't recommend getting a filing cabinet unless you own your own business. A lot of court reporters need a metal filing cabinet for that reason. One of the things I really like is having a brother label maker, and I use this for labeling my containers, but also when I used to have binders and things like that, I would always use the clear labels. I love the clear labels, and I used to have a baby one, but it was absolutely terrible. It was going through batteries like crazy. Let me just take a moment to vent. Let me just take a moment to vent because you all know that I'm not going to write to brother to complain. I usually don't read reviews anymore because a lot of things that you buy, it's not necessary. A lot of things are decent quality these days, but my gosh, that little baby brother scanner was tearing through batteries. I would print 2 labels and 4 batteries. You guys may think I'm exaggerating, but I'm going to link it down below, and you guys should read the reviews of this baby brother scanner because everybody had the same problem. How did this get passed? What tech was reviewing this machine before it went on to be mass sold? That's all I gotta say. Brother, this one is big, but it's going to get the job done. It's not going to eat through batteries, and I get the clear labels because they just look better. They just look better and they look more modern and clean looking. One thing I do want to say about making labels is be broad with your categories. Be very broad. All of your warranties should be in one category. One thing that is the thief of broad thinking and perspective is being way too specific. You don't want to divide it into so many categories because you're going to be making so many labels, so many folders, and now you're complicating everything. So you want to do all warranties and curate those warranties. The last thing is photos. And photos, I've been in houses with so many photo albums, I don't even know how often we can get through that many photo albums. But what you want to do is if you have the negatives, get a negatives scanner. So my mom still has the negatives for all 20 of her albums. I was so happy about because sending it out to someone else is a lot more costly. She had all the negatives, so I just got her a negatives scanner, and that's what you need to do. Get a negative scanner. You can just run it through and back up all your photos to Google Drive and then share it with all your relatives that are in those photos so they have access to those photos as well. Just think about it, guys. guys. It's so much better than having it in all of those photo albums because you can easily access them and also name all those pictures so you can easily find them. So you want to get through those photos and really curate and only display the ones that you love. There are also picture frames that cycle through photos if you want to display them that way. That's not really my style, but if that's your style, there are so many creative ways. Again, use your imagination. There's so many things that you can do with paper other than keeping physical copies of it. Now my paper stack is about this high. It's so liberating, guys, to have that much freedom. When I look at a little bit of paper and when I look at my closet and I see all that space, I see freedom. I see autonomy and the fact that I'm not procrastinating because all these things are taken care of, and that liberates your life and really focus on other things that mean a lot more to you than just paper or bakeware or something like that. Go in the direction that you feel like you should be heading because there's a reason why you feel like you should be heading that way. So if you feel like you want to get more organized and downsize, don't question it. Go for that. So I hope you guys like this video on paper clutter, and I'll see you guys next Sunday in the next minimalist and organization video.